Hello, my name is Gabriel Hollander, and in this video I wanted to share with you 5 things I've learned during my first audio and video editing project. As some of you may know, I've been busy during the last few weeks creating an audio and video project for the Bruxelles Symphony Orchestra here based in Brussels. All musicians of the orchestra were welcome to send me in a video recording of themselves playing the first 68 bars of the soundtrack main title of Star Wars. So I received video from over 40 musicians and would start the audio and video editing process. However, this was my first time at video editing. So now that the project is over and the video is out there in the world shared by everyone, a couple of friends of mine asked me to share some tips with respect to this process. And that's what this video is all about. I'll share with you 5 things I've learned in the process and which would have been nice to know before even starting the project. Remark: I spent most of the time of this project working on audio editing, and so the following tips will deal with the audio part of the project. For future projects, I intend to get more familiar with the video editing part as well. Point number 1. Audio and video editing takes time. Kind of sounds obvious, honestly, but hey, that's why it's my first tip. However long you think the project will take, you can easily count 2 to 3 times more time if it's the first time you're doing such a project. In my case, I thought the project would take me a couple of days, maybe a week at the most. Finally, it took me a whole 3 weeks worth of time. Of course, I wasn't working full-time on this as I had other projects on the side. Tip number 2. Organize your files. It's a good idea to have a clear idea how you want to organize your files even before you're styling the project. That's because during the editing stage, you'll probably create tons of new files, and it's really very easy to get lost under a mountain of intermediary versions and making mistakes in the process. During this project, I organized the videos of the musicians per instrument and took great care of including all the videos in my project. If you're into tables like me, I would suggest using some kind of general table where you can see the intermediary steps of all the videos in your project. Tip number 3. Use the best master track you can get your hands on. If possible, I would highly encourage all of you to use the best possible master track you can get your hands on. That may be a master track, a recording, or a click track, or everything together, and this is what the musicians will hear in their ears when they record themselves before sending you their files. The more aligned the videos are with respect to the master track, the less trouble you'll have in the audio editing process combining all of the videos together. And however beautiful the original recording was, not all musicians could hear their own voice in that recording. This meant that some musicians had to guess where exactly their voice was inside the general recording. And those guesses made a lot of work in the post-production. For next project, I would consider using different master tracks for every groups of instruments, and that way everyone will be able to hear their own voice. Tip number 4. Work on the low-level auditing stuff. At a certain time in the audio editing process, you'll certainly see some misaligned elements of the recordings with respect to the master track. Then comes the really nitty-gritty detailed work of synchronizing everything together. For this, one of the 2 possible ways could arise. Either an individual recording sounds too early or it sounds too late, kind of obvious. In the first case, you can cut the audio track and move the notes to the left. If needed, you'll need to do some really detailed work to align the transitions. In the second case, you'll have to move the unsynchronized notes to the right. However, in this second case, you'll create, however small, an empty or soundless moment in time. In my personal experience, this empty moment can be heard when listening to only one track, but when combined with the other audio tracks, there is enough music to cover this blank spot. Tip number 5, know your scores. If you want to do the audio editing process well, you will need to mix in different tracks together and work on balance between instruments and recordings. For that, it surely helps to know the score inside out, so you know what you want the viewers of your video to listen to. By the way, actually both help each other. After doing this editing project, I really gained much more confidence as a conductor in the Star Wars score, as I really worked on every single line of the score. So, for every conductor out there, or anyone really in search of absolute knowledge of a whole orchestral score, I highly recommend this exercise. Make recordings of all the different lines of the scores and try mixing them up together in such a kind of audio project. Alright, that's it for some tips on how to make a virtual orchestral performance. I hope you guys found something interesting in this video, and if you have any questions or remarks, just leave them in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Until next time, folks, take care.